For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of the Tuesday practice leading up to the Notre Dame game. And I think you can tell it's the Notre Dame week when I'm shipping up to Boston is pumped in through the crowd noise that we heard during practice. But it was a good practice overall. I thought Sam Darnold looked the best we've seen in a while. And the offense looked pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think it was a continuation of Saturday. He was sharp. Everything was on the money. Looks like he's having fun. He looks like he's healthy. He looks like he's bouncing around on and it just has that old sense about him. And we didn't really see that for the last month. When you ask somebody, they look at you like, no, there's nothing, there's no issues at all. So, and we're not gonna, but he just looks different now. He looks different, obviously, the second half. Saturday, Clay said that was the best second half of the season. I think, let's face it, USC football success this year and Sam Darnold are inextricably linked. If Sam looks good, they're going to look good. If he looks good the rest of the way, they're going to look good the rest of the way. You hate to say, there are a lot of guys on the team, and it's a team sport, but this is Sam Darnold's team.
Mm-hmm. We had some interesting defensive line updates today as far as injury goes. Josh Fatu was in a multi-car accident and is going through concussion protocol. We hope everyone's all right. I think he's all right. But as far as defensive line depth goes, that means Brandon Peely is now the starting defensive lineman. Kenny Bigelow, who did not play on Saturday, he's now taking a step back from a football role. He's more of a mentor role now, and Helton said that's permanent going forward. But that's important news, giving Notre Dame's run options.
Yeah, I mean, it's Brandon Peely, next man up. See if he's ready. And that may not be a factor with Josh. I mean, we don't know the details of the accident. We don't have any other. Didn't sound like there were any other injuries. Hopefully he had his seatbelt on. So he might be here tomorrow and be fine. But you never know with concussion protocol. We've seen a couple of guys who've had to go, 10 days, miss a couple of games as a result. So, we're kind of flying blind on what the story is with Josh.
Mm-hmm. If he's not ready to go, are you concerned at all as far as USC's run defense goes?
Well, I think the concern would be just in terms of numbers and, the possibility you're going to get worn down. Yeah. I mean, what this would tell you is what USC did in the second half against Utah, a physical team. They had 3 drives, one 98 yards, one 16 plays, 2 11-play drives for 93 and 88 yards. You do that, you don't have to worry about your defensive depth so much.
Yeah.
It's the other team that has to worry about their defensive depth. In that game, Utah wore out. Yeah. Physical team, big, strong, tough guys. And from that standpoint, that's probably a good team to play before Notre Dame in terms of, being ready for that kind of physicality. And I think it points the way to this is how USC has to play on offense against Notre Dame in order to, kind of pretty much give that defense a little bit of a boost.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of longer drives, we did see longer team periods in practice today. There's some new wrinkles in practice, but I think the sign of longer team periods is encouraging.
Yeah, more 11 on 11, more team game where it seems more like a game, more game simulation, and just went longer and harder, and I think that's really good. I don't think you can get ready to play football without playing football. And you've got to be careful. You got to be smart. You don't want to wear them out. You don't want them to leave it on the practice field, but you want them to be ready that first half when when the game starts. And as T. Martin was saying, we're ready on the first drive. It looks like it's those next few drives that something seems to happen, and he hasn't. He said we haven't figured it out yet. We're trying to figure out what's going on there, but. You would like to see them be able to play the second half against Utah, the first half against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. You cannot mention going to Notre Dame without mentioning what happened the last time USC went to Notre Dame. It was Helton's first time as a head coach. Of course, it was an interim head coach, and you had a little fun fact question you asked Helton today.
Yeah, I mean, I said this is the first time since 2011 USC will be going to South Bend with a full-time permanent coach. The last 2 times prior, Clay had been here as President Nikias, who was at practice today, said he was only here for 5 days. And then before that, in 2013, at Orgeron, he had succeeded Lane Kiffin. So this will be the first time you have an actual full-time, real, permanent head coach with USC in 6 years going to Notre Dame. So kind of unbelievable when you think about it, because that means you had to let go back-to-back coaches in mid-season, which just maybe has never happened before in college football history.
Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned, there was crowd noise pumped in, songs pumped into the crowd noise today. Helton actually got the team on the knee, started talking to them about the significance of this game after practice, and then Josh Follow told me that the coaches are kind of telling them, be ready. It's going to be worse than Wazoo as far as the crowd goes. How much do you think that atmosphere and that environment is going to affect the team?
Well, I think Rojo was talking about going in there as a freshman, and he said there were 20,000 people flipping us off before we even got to the stadium. And he said, doing all kinds of things. And he said the older guys had to, tell us, don't get all excited, don't get all concerned. That's just the way it is. I asked Clay, I wish, this would be me, I wish they'd go over there on Friday and get part of that atmosphere and soak it up, because you'll get the same kind of reception on Friday if you come in there and do the walkthrough, which Pete Carroll always did, and they enjoy the heck out of it. And I think they used it as a kind of a motivator. Lane and Sark did not do that, and Clay's kind of following in that tradition where it's more like the NFL, where you get there the day of the game and you play the game. So USC will practice in Michigan City at the high school on Friday, but they will not go over to Notre Dame, which I'd like to see them do that sometime, because that kind of gets you over that whole, okay, we're at Notre Dame, this is really a big deal.
Yeah.
You kind of get over that on Friday, and then you don't have to deal with it on Saturday. You don't want them necessarily dealing with that on the bus as they're driving through 20,000 people in the parking lot. The thing about Notre Dame is there are almost as many people in the parking lots in the tailgate areas who don't have tickets as do. So they'll have 50, 60,000 people who don't ever go to the game. They just come to tailgate. They come to be with their friends, but there are only so many tickets. So it's a different environment. It's like something you haven't seen in many places, especially for the USC game.
Mm-hmm. But they are moving up practice. They're moving up practice on Thursday. They're practicing at 11:30 and then leaving. So they are moving it up a little bit. They're going to get there on Thursday. Is that kind of prepping earlier than you would normally see?
No, that's normally what they do, and then that allows them to be there early enough to practice in the morning, the next morning at a really nice high school facility, Michigan City High School, and then they've got all day Friday and all day Saturday in Michigan City, Indiana, because that 7:30 game time.
Yeah,
that's a long day on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So, and you do have to have to learn how, they've had enough of these games now that they've learned how to handle that, kind of waiting around for the game to get here. But they're going to do some of that.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting for sure. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for Tuesday practice on Notre Dame week. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.